Hello, I'm Sam from Sound on Sound magazine. The NAMM Show in Anaheim, California is the place to go if you want to discover all that's new in the world of musical instruments and pro audio. It's also a kind of mecca for lovers of terrible coffee. Music software is a numbers game, and Steinberg are hitting hard with Wavelab, which has now reached version 12. An even more well-established editing package is Magix's Sequoia, and that's now at version 17 as of this NAMM. McDSP have a new plugin for their analog processing box system called BOB. BOB stands for Bass Optimized Bias. It's essentially a clever form of bass enhancement, so you can add sub to a track that lacks low end, or you can create the illusion of bass on small speakers. Now, for those who like their plugin menu to read like the track listing from a Hawkwind album, Waves have introduced Spacerider and Feedback Hunter. Spacerider is a combined reverb, delay and chorus, and the cool thing is that you can morph between different settings and even use an envelope follower to trigger morphing, so the reverb changes character depending on the source.
'Cause we all live the chase, and I've got a win.
Oeksound introduced a new plugin called Bloom, which they're calling an adaptive tone shaper. It superficially resembles a multi-band compressor, but it's clearly a whole lot more sophisticated than that, and it allows you to reshape the tone of a source or a mix in an incredibly natural way. Soundtheory were also there, showing something called Kraftur, which introduces some very interesting saturation and distortion effects based on wave shaping, and again looks to be pretty novel. Audio modelling specialise in using physical modelling to emulate orchestral instruments. Until now, they've mostly stuck to solo instruments, but they were showing a new plugin called SWAM String Sections that does exactly what that sounds like. Compared with orchestral sample libraries, you get a lot more performance control without the need to use key switches, and you can change the virtual environment in which the section is playing. Solid State Logic unveiled the one ring to rule them all of plugin control in the shape of their 360 link software. The SSL plugin mixer is a sort of alternative mixer for your DAW, and until now it's been limited to their own channel strip plugins. But with the advent of 360 link, you'll be able to bring in a whole range of third-party plugins too, and drive them from SSL's UC1 control surface. Over in the Guitar Hall, Two Notes introduced something they're calling Genome. This is variously described as an adaptive channel strip or a software ecosystem. It's a kind of modular framework that can host amp and pedal emulations and impulse responses. There's also something called Codex, which can host and modify AI rig captures. Your tone quest starts here. And talking of AI, iZotope was showing an AI-powered plugin called VEA, or Voice Enhancement Assistant, which can apparently make any vocal sound more professional. I defy them to make my vocals sound any more professional.
Portmanteau of iPod and broadcast. But nowadays, that portmanteau doesn't make as much sense, considering that we don't listen to podcasts on an iPod anymore, nor are they traditional radio broadcasts. So what are these? On this show, we'll explore what makes a podcast by diving into its...
More AI going on at Kit Plugins, with an emulation of the reverb chamber in Blackbird's Studio A. Now, because this chamber has a movable ceiling that changes the characteristics of the space, it can't easily be captured using convolution. So Kit have employed machine learning to model the sound, and you can hear it change in real time as you move the controls. Kit were also showing a drum sample instrument recorded at Blackbird. Elsewhere in Sample World, Goran Grooves have updated Handy Drums to version 2 with a ton of new sounds and features. And Splice have quietly introduced a very slick new version of their app, which allows you to build stacks as the bare bones of a beat, and then simply send your stack as a URL to anyone you want to collaborate with. I didn't spot a huge number of hardware synth launches at NAMM. I have the feeling the synth community has kind of migrated to specialist shows like Superbooth, but there were a couple of big beasts on display. The biggest and beastiest was Korg's limited edition reissue of the PS3300. which is going to cost 5 figures and will still sell out on its day of availability. I hate it when people have money and taste. Slightly more attainable and also very desirable is the desktop version of Grooves Synthesis' third wave, announced late last year and present in the flesh for the first time at NAMM. For those of us in the cheap seats, meanwhile, there were 2 interesting instruments on the Dubreq stand. The CPM DS2 is a drone synth that can operate on batteries and even has a built-in speaker. But it's also Eurorack compatible and has plenty of CV and gate connectivity. The Stylophone Theramin is exactly what that sounds like. When you get tired of trying to play it by waving your hands around, you can use a little slider to control the pitch instead. And finally, the Suzuki Omnichord is back. It's an analog synth, it's a digital synth, it's a drum machine, it's a performance controller, and it's just as gloriously bonkers as it ever was. I found one in a flea market in Austria once. It cost me €15. Thanks for watching. Do check out our other videos to find out what's new at NAMM in microphones, monitoring, and studio hardware. See you soon.